We're here. I'm not gonna yap because I actually need to get this done because I'm leaving in 2 days. Tomorrow's gonna be a very busy day. I don't even think I'll be able to do anything tomorrow. So we'll get right to it. Let's see, how do I want to go about this? So we got the outline done. We can get started on this real quick. Okay. All right. So I'm not gonna be yapping. I have to really focus on this. Hmm. There are things in the Metroid universe worse than death. The X Parasite doesn't simply kill, it erases. It wears your skin, takes your image, and walks with your memory. It doesn't hate, it doesn't think, it just becomes. In a galaxy scarred by constant turmoil, corruption, and ancient whispers, nothing is more terrifying than a parasite that can perfectly replace you and never ask why. I think, excuse me, I think we are all advised to keep not in terms with people we used to be. Joan Didion. A powerful yet wistful quote, but in the context of Metroid Fusion, it becomes a chilling warning. Because for Samus, but for Samus, the past doesn't just linger, it stalks her. The SAS is everything she once was her strength, armor, her instincts, stripped of humanity, mercy, and restraint, a walking echo of a self she no longer controls. This video explores the X Parasite's origins, biology, and terrifying narrative symbolism, from its mimicry and body horror to what it means for Samus and for humanity. Because the X Paras, excuse me, the X doesn't because the X doesn't just invade the body, it affects the soul. In a world where even your reflections can betray you, who are you really? Ooh, boy. Not using Parasite there. I think I might have to just use Parasite. I don't know. I'll adjust that later. We'll see. Okay, I like it. I'm gonna do a funny. Hmm. Yeah. Not gonna work. Okay, that's fine. I was trying to really do a funny there, but it's all good. It's an engine of terror. Samus isn't just fighting creatures; she's fighting simulations of life. Hmm. Okay. We can uh we can go. We can extend that. Those- Okay. Echoes of once was emanated by something alien. All right, that's good. Let's see, X sample. Supposedly fights like her. That AI definitely begs to differ. Actually, no. Let's do some pauses here. Yeah, we'll do some pauses here. Okay, that's better. That's definitely better. That's better. That's better. Transfer like prey. We haven't talked about morality in a while, that's for sure. Um, Tracks her like prey, but it's not her. It is her strength. It is her strength without restraint. Her form without morality. Yep. What makes the X horrifying is not that it just kills; it replaces, and in doing so, it forces us to confront a question we were never meant to ask. I have something. I don't know if it's gonna work right. I have a couple of ideas. Um, we'll go with the. We'll go with one of them. If it sticks, I'll keep it. But if not, I'll swap it out. I like asking. I like asking these questions in my narratives. But just give me one sec. My headset's actually on the way out, so I can't really move that well. I can't move without it kind of cutting out. When I get back from my training mission, I have to buy another one. Um, the But yeah, as mentioned, I like writing questions in my narrative, so give me a moment to actually think which one would fit better. Okay, I think this one will work. If not, I can just change it later. That can become you perfectly. Were you ever unique at all? Okay. The horror of the X is not loud. It's quiet, cold. I don't want to end the sentence in cold. Hmm. Okay. I like it. All right. Next should be section 1.5. I don't think we need to have this here. Just looking at it, it kind of kills it, the pacing a little bit. Okay. All right. I think that's good. I get it. Okay. These forms. Cool. Okay, that works. Ooh, I know where we can go with this. All right, absorbing it. Yeah, I definitely know we can do some funny stuff with this next section. Absorbing it heals Samus. Samus, you are literally a woman of irony at times. The parasite. I gotta read this again. So, Yellow X, the most common form, holds life, vitality stolen from a victim, and offered back like a bribe. Absorbing and heals Samus, a grim irony. The parasite nourishes with the remnants of what it consumed. Oh yeah, we're gonna be very cheeky with these descriptions. To be honest, I feel like this is gonna be the final one before I leave. I want this to be a very, very good one, so I definitely feel like I need like another couple of days with this one. I got the majority of the videos I need to get done. I did want to do another. I did want to do another lore files, but it doesn't look like I'm gonna have enough time because tomorrow's gonna be just a pain in the ass. It's just gonna be so busy because we gotta do pre-deployment shit. But I think we'll make this relatively good. Okay. Um. Definitely when I get back, I have to buy another pair of headsets because these titties are on the way out. Okay, green is next. Okay, I think this is what we can do. Green, fine. I think is a very good word to use here. Ooh, yeah, we're being very cheeky today. 'Cause, 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 Slightly rare, this strain replenishes ammunition, energy siphoned from corpses, not fueling the weapons it meant to destroy. Ooh, no, no, no. Yeah, I added an extra it. Weapons meant to destroy it. Now turns death into reality. Okay. No, death turns death into utility, sorry. Excuse me. Slightly rarer, this strain replenishes ammunition, energy siphoned from corpses, not fueling the weapons meant to destroy it. Okay, that's cool. Shout outs to Teen Titans again. Red X. Hmm. It is a rare drop, so prize. Ooh, I mean very cheeky. Prize at the heart of the slaughter. It offers everything. Only after something has been taken. All right. The gimmicky ones. Form. Aren't just about cold. These have absorbed ice. Yeesh. Of course, Samus still vulnerable to it without the right suit. They are death incarnate. Let's be a little bit sassy here. Still waiting. I'm being very cheeky. Freezing. All right. Core X is next. Really, word? Okay. Jeez, way to kill the momentum. Good job, word. All right. Let me just stretch real quick. Where am I at in regards to timing? I do need to take a break soon. We're coming up on 45 minutes. That's good. There's a couple things I need to take care of today. I still have to go grab some supplies, so I've been taking a break in a little bit, and I'll come back and I'll do some more. Okay. All right. Okay. Carrying on. Oh, I know what I can do here. And then there's SAX, not a form, not just a form, a replication, not just an enemy, a reflection. Ooh, that's good. Oh, there. I'm finishing. I'm just starting my script for my next video on Metroid Fusion. What's up? The script is so good. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. It takes a while. Like, I definitely have to go through a gigantic process with these. Got to start off an outline, go from there, do a rough draft, do a final draft. There's a lot of fact checking in regards to this, but it's all good. I have a good knowledge of lore, but it's always good writing things down, seeing mistakes, and going from there. But yes, thank you very much. I'm gonna make sure that this is not gonna be released until probably Tuesday. It's Sunday today, so I'm probably gonna release this on Tuesday. I want this to be a very, very good video because I'm gonna be going away for a month. Okay. Let's see. And then there's SAX, not just a form, a replication, not just an enemy, a reflection. It's Samus stripped of a soul, stripped of soul. I don't want to put there because I want to keep the tone. Its Samus stripped of soul, a perfect clone with none of the conscious. It hunts not out of malice, but because it remembers how. Okay, that's good. The X evolves not to survive. This was actually a request, so we've done we've done how Metro Fusion is a horror game in disguise. We've done how Metroid's more terrifying than you think. Now we're doing the X Parasite. So when I get back, I'm probably gonna do a video on Mother Brain, Ridley, and whatever anybody wants me to do. I take requests, so I have my own things that I have to do in regards to videos. But if anybody ever suggests something, I'll do it. I got a lot of time on my hands. The X evolves not to survive, but to replace. And in every form, it shows us one truth. The X evolves not to survive, but to replace, and in every form, it shows us one truth. So we have to we have to finish off the section really strong. So we're gonna go into the parasitism real quick because if you really think about it, a parasite does what it does. It's gonna infect its host. So it doesn't need it doesn't one truth. It doesn't need understand. Oh, I like this. I like this a lot. Okay, let me just read this section and we'll go from there. The X does not merely adapt, it evolves with terrifying elegance. Each variation is a mutation of function, a step forward in Parasite's cold refinement of life into design. These forms drift through the corridors of derelict stations and forgotten worlds, some benign, others lethal. Yellow X, the most common form, it holds life, vitality stolen from a victim and offered back like a bribe. Absorbing it heals Samus, a grim irony. The parasite nourishes with the remnants of what it consumed. I love the way that sentence sounds. That whole little section is awesome. Green X, slightly rarer. The string replenishes ammunition, energy siphoned from corpses, not fueling the weapons meant to destroy it. The X turns defensive utility. Red X, a rare potent variation, life and ammo both restored, the prize at the heart of the slaughter. It offers everything, but only after something has been taken. Blue X, a form twisted by cold. These have absorbed ice, and for Samus, still vulnerable to it without the right suit, they are death incarnate, still waiting, freezing. Core X, the most terrifying form. These have fully consumed their host, mind, memory, and power. Heavily armored, these abominations carry the very abilities of what they've devoured. When they die, they split, releasing the essence of stolen identity, still pulsing. And then there's SAX, not just a form, a replication, not just an enemy, a reflection. It's Samus, stripped of soul, a perfect clone with none of the conscious. It hunts you not out of malice, but because it remembers how. The X evolves not to survive, but to replace, and in every form, it shows us one truth. It doesn't need to understand life to rewrite it. This section is very strong. Really, really, really strong. Um, I was gonna put Varia here, but I want to keep the. I want to keep. I don't think adding Vario's suit would be good for the pacing. Gotta keep things. Gotta keep things mysterious. Okay. All right. Next section. This could be a very powerful video in regards to storytelling, of course. Okay. Um. Okay. So we've talked about what they are, the different variations. Now we should probably talk about going off my outline. We have to talk about how the Chozo created the Metroids for taking out the X, which obviously did not work well. Okay. Okay. How do I want to proceed with this? Okay. To understand the X, we must go into the. We must delve in. I'm thinking aloud. To understand the X, we must delve back into the past. Okay. Long, long before like I mentioned before, Samus is literally a person of irony. Like things just happen. Oh, okay, I got this. Long before Samus stood alone in the dark. I mean, I don't mean that like literally. Long before Samus stood in the dark, the Chozo. Ooh, ooh, okay. Looked into the abyss. No, looked into the void. I'm being very cheeky with this. And in that darkness, okay, that's a long before Samus stood alone in the dark. The Chozo looked into the void and saw darkness, and in that darkness they saw the X. Okay, it's them. It's parasites. Wasn't just a threat. Hmm. I'm going with something because the X, they're a parasite that destroys life. So even though the Metroids were created as as a natural predator to the X, before that the X were just taking away life. So what I'm gonna do is write this: a life form that inverted nature's order. Yeah, because what I'm going with what I'm going with is um this isn't a matter of survival of the fittest, because that is a thing in nature. It's the survival of the fittest. Predators prey on the weak, etc., etc., etc. But for the X, it's like it erased its host. It goes beyond just consuming something for life. It takes its host, it kills it, then it becomes its host. Okay, so let's do it like this: one that erased its host, and like we mentioned before, they're just the most evilest form of Ditto ever. Flawlessly. One that erased its host, mimicked it flawlessly. We can capitalize on this some more. Um, Unburdened by ego. I mentioned this yesterday because we all know that Ridley has a gigantic ass ego and Mother Brain somewhat. So they don't have an ego. Like they just do what they do. Unburdened by ego, fear, or mercy. It cannot be reasoned with. It can only consume. It can only be consumed or contained. Okay. All right. So what I'm gonna do here, hold on, let's read this. Long before Samus stood alone in the dark, the Chozo looked into the void and saw darkness. And in that darkness they saw the X. To them, this parasite wasn't just a threat, it was a revelation, a life form that inverted nature's order, one that erased its host and mimicked it flawlessly. Unburdened by ego, fear, or mercy, it could not be reasoned with. It could only be consumed or contained. So I'm gonna do a funny real quick. So the Chozo did many civilizations do, and forgot the Z, do when they fear extinction. They created a weapon. I'm being sassy with that one. Being very sassy with that. So the Chozo did what many civilizations do when they fear extinction. They created a weapon. Um, from desperate, um, brilliance, the Metroids were born. I gotta put when I do this, when I rehearse this script later, I gotta make sure I put a pause right there. Organic predators. It's good. I can This ties into the Metroid video I released a couple of days ago. Organic predators, engineered. Yikes. Organic predators engineered to feed exclusively. Obviously, this didn't work out the way they thought it did. On Yeah. We can go into detail about how they did it. They latched on. Perfect counter measure. The Chozo and the Metroids were the solution to the problem. But I'm going with something here. Purpose. Tools can. Oh. We don't need to go into that much detail, but I like the way this sounds. The Chozo, the Metroids were the solution to the problem. Tools that served a greater purpose, but tools cannot grow their purpose. Okay, that's good. The Metroids. But as mentioned, I will be literally going away in a couple of days. I'll be gone for a month, but there's a gigantic playlist of lore just there, and when I get back, we'll just continue on. I'm not gonna be using the AI voice no more because I've got my condition has gotten better. Like I'm not feeling too much strain on my chest because I do have a chest injury that kind of screws up the way I talk for long periods, but it's getting better. So I think I can actually start voicing the longer form videos from now on. I just got to be a little bit careful. Just don't bite more than I can chew. The Metroids thrived, multiplied, and soon they were no longer just an answer to a threat. They became one. There we go. I like the way that sounds. Long before Samus stood alone in the dark, the Chozo looked into the void and saw darkness, and in that darkness they saw the X. To them, this parasite wasn't just a threat, it was a revelation, a life form that inverted nature's order, one that erased its host and mimicked it flawlessly, unburdened by ego, fear, or mercy. It could not be reasoned with. It could only be consumed or contained. So the Chozo did what many civilizations do when they fear extinction. They created a weapon From desperate brilliance, the Metroids were born, organic predators, engineered to feed exclusively on the X. They latched on and drained the parasite dry, making them the perfect countermeasure. To the Chozo, the Metroids were the solution to the problem, tools that served a greater purpose. But tools can outgrow their purpose. The Metroids thrived, multiplied, and soon they were no longer just the answer to a threat. They became one. That sounds great. I don't feel like I need. I can add. You can add a little bit more to that though, because it's an irony. The whole situation's ironic, so we can definitely add a little tiny bit more to that, but not so much as to take away from the purpose of the video. Okay. It's ironic. Okay, so the irony is sharp. The thing designed to eliminate the X became a new source of fear. Ooh, that's good. Fear. Fear. Okay. Okay, I see what I can do. Because because again, Samus is the perfect person for irony, because Samus her whole existence is irony at times. So I know what we can do. So the irony is sharp. The thing designed to eliminate the X became a new source of fear. The Federation wanted them for control. Space pirates wanted them for power. And Samus became the executioner. Became the executioner. Jesus. Became the executioner of the Metroids extinction. Obviously one survived, but I'm just adding fluff. Um so the Federation wanted them for control, the Space Pirates wanted them for power, and Samus became the executioner of the Metroid's extinction. Um he ended the Metroid line. I'm not gonna mention the baby Metroid because that technically came later. So yeah, I've already mentioned the baby Metroid in the other video. So we'll just assume that the baby Metroid hasn't been found yet or hatched. So okay, so and Samus became the executioner of the Metroid's extinction. She ended the Metroid line, and in doing so, again, irony at its best. She ended the Metroids, but in doing so, got rid of the one thing that kept the X in check. Unintentionally, she had no idea what was going on. No one did. And in doing so, she shattered the equilibrium. The no, the fragile equilibrium. We got to put more emphasis on the equilibrium part. Fragile equilibrium. If I could spell right now, the fragile equilibrium that kept the X in check. Okay, so let's read this again. And Samus became the executioner of the Metroid's extinction. She ended the Metroid line, and in doing so, shattered the fragile equilibrium that kept the X in check. And we all know what happens there when the predators, it's like with the dinosaurs. When the dinosaurs died out, mammals and everything else thrived. When predators died out, prey returned. I like that. Prey returned. Hmm. I can't end it right there. When the predators died out, the prey returned. I think we can do a little bit of a sassy build up to this. When the predators died out, the prey returned. Okay, we can do this. Just a little bit of excitement. Stage was set. Stage was set. Pieces had been moved. The stage was set. The pieces have been moved. Um, the parasite. The parasite is ready to resurface. I like the way that sounds. All right, so let's read this whole thing over again, and we'll see. Okay, let's read this whole thing over again, and we'll go from there. Long before Samus stood in the dark, the Chozo looked into the void and saw darkness, and in that darkness they saw the X. To them, this parasite wasn't just a threat, it was a revelation, a life form that inverted nature's order, one that erased its host and mimicked it flawlessly. Unburdened by ego, fear, or mercy, it could not be reasoned with, it only consumed or contained. So the Chozo did what many do when they fear extinction. They created a weapon. From desperate brilliance, the Metroids were born, organic predators, engineered to feed exclusively on the X. They latched on and drained the parasite dry, making them the perfect countermeasure. To the Chozo, the Metroids were the solution to the problem, tools that served a greater purpose. But tools can outgrow their purpose. The Metroids thrived, multiplied, and soon they were no longer just an answer to their threat. They became one. The irony is sharp. The thing designed to eliminate the X became a new source of fear. The Federation wanted them for control. The space pirates wanted them for power. And Samus became the executioner of the Metroid's extinction. She ended the Metroid line, and in doing so, shattered the fragile equilibrium that kept the X in check. When the predators died out, the prey returned. The stage was set. The pieces had been moved, and the parasite was ready to resurface. So let's see where we're at. So, introduction. What are the X? The different forms of X. Uh, the, the countermeasures to stop the X, and now we can move on to Metroid Fusion. Okay. So the way the X was introduced in Metroid Fusion was just brilliant. So they came out of the shadows. If you want to be cute about it, they didn't make their presence known. Like they came back in silence. Okay, I got something. The X didn't come back with a roar. With a roar. Came back with silence. Yes, that's perfect. It came back with silence. On a routine mission, Samus was infected silently, effectively. No, efficiently. Yeah, efficiently is good. Efficiently. We can add a little tiny bit of detail here. I normally don't use headcanon, but I'm gonna try to put a little bit more emphasis on this. Because as we know, as we played Metro Fusion billions of times, when Samus saw the X came right at her and attacked her. Not literally, just went to her. And obviously what happened happened. But we're gonna do something very, very funny here. So efficiently. The X slipped past her armor and into her flesh. I'm just adding, yeah, we're gonna add some. We're gonna make you feel and like visualize this in your head. So it's past her armor and into her flesh. Rewriting her from within. When by the time she collapsed, the damage was irreversible. And again, like I mentioned, I'm putting a little bit of visual flair. Um, her nervous system. Her nervous system. Power suit. Her sense of self. All unraveling. Okay, so I think that's good. The X didn't come back with a roar. The X didn't come back with a roar. It came back with silence. On a routine mission, Samus was infected silently, efficiently. The X slipped past her armor and into her flesh, rewriting her from within. By the time she collapsed, the damage was irreversible. Her nervous system, her power suit, her sense of self, all unraveling. A- And again, a woman of irony. What saved her? Was it surgery? And again, this is like one of the biggest forms of irony. Um, with her human biology. Hmm. Okay, we can do this. It was effective. It was effective. Okay, word. Huh? Okay. But it changed her forever. no longer fully human, no longer just a warrior. Samus became. I make fun of her at times by calling her a chimera, but no, she's literally just a hybrid. She's a lot of things now. Became a hybrid. A massive contradiction at best. A contradiction. And I cannot spell right now. A contradiction. A living weapon. A living weapon caught between what she was and what she had become. S- Saved by the one enemy she sought to destroy. And that's a common thing. It's like with Resident Evil with Jill and Nemesis. Nemesis, obviously in Resident Evil 3, was on a mission to kill Jill and infected her. Years later, well, he infected her and she was saved when the vaccine was given to her. But years later, when Jill was captured by Wesker and experimented on with Ouroboros, some remnants of the virus still remained inside of Jill and killed the Ouroboros virus that Wesker was trying to infect Jill with. So, in a weird twist of irony, Nemesis was trying to kill Jill, but ends up saving her in the end. That's hilarious and ironic at the same time. Similar to this, Samus went out of her way to kill the Metroids, and when their DNA ends up saving her. Okay. But something else was born that day. Two parts move during her operation. Still infected. The X gestated in isolation. In isolation from which from it emerged the SAX. The SAX, a flawless copy of Samus at her peak. It wouldn't be a Metroid game if Samus didn't somehow, someway lose her abilities. Full power suit. Free ability. She had lost. Honestly, if the SAX's AI was like better, this would be a very, very terrifying um thing. There's nothing worse than doppelgangers, especially doppelgangers that copy you at you at full strength. There's some very scary implications there. It's just good concept on paper. It's just due to limitations, it wasn't executed the best. The doppelgangers, honestly, the scariest things about doppelgangers, besides them mimicking you, is the potential to replace you. That's scary with doppelgangers. Sorry about that. Yeah, that's actually one of the scariest things with doppelgangers is like if they literally become you. Give me one sec. Okay, I just gotta look at my notes real quick. I feel this is gonna be a very strong video when I'm done with it. Okay, let's carry on. How long have I been streaming this for? We're going on an hour and 30 minutes. Okay, that's good. Let's continue on for like another 20 minutes, and then I'll take a break. We still have a lot of sections to go over because we got to go into Dread too. Okay. Um, I can describe SAX real quick. It was cold, supposedly calculating. It's unfortunate the game didn't show that. I mean, I can't say that because Samus was part Metroid and it was going around using Ice Beam the entire time. A reflection without warmth. It didn't hesitate. Didn't question. It only hunted. That's good. That's really good. Word stop. Hmm. On BSL station. BSL station. It's got to be a little more specific because if you haven't played the game, like, wait, what the hell's what the hell's the BSL station? It's a research station. On the BSL research station, the halls. Here we go. My favorite word. All filled with grotesque. I use this too damn much. Recreations of life. That's good. Recreations of life. Um, I can talk about the different. Oh, yeah, I know what to do. Mutated fauna. Mutated fauna. Predators. On the BSL station, the parasites spread like wildfire. The hall is filled with grotesque recreations of life, mutated fauna, twisted predators, and shadows of Samus's past. Uh, what I can do is I can go into a little bit of detail about the station, add a little bit of environmental horror to this. I normally do this um I'm doing this with my outbreak videos, just giving more attention to the environment, just building up the tension. So the walls felt tighter. It's a immerse. Yeah, we're gonna immerse people. Felt tighter. The lights dimmer somewhere, and somewhere always around the corner. No, always around the corner. That's a X stalked. stairs. Her footsteps going. I can't unhear. I'll never be able to unhear those footsteps. I've gotten into arguments with people about the horror overtones in Metroid Fusion because for some weird reason they just default to the they just default to the E for everyone rating of the ESRB and kind of skip out on the whole game itself, like the overtones that the game shows, like the presentation of the game. And I remember when I released that Metroid Fusion video, it being a horror game in disguise, that one comment was like, the game's not even scary. It's not about the game being scary. It's about the presentation, the horror overtones that are just there. Like, this is not a kid-friendly game. There's a lot of crazy stuff that happens in this game. A lot of body horror, a lot of death, a lot of crazy stuff that really makes you question, like, damn, this is really dark for what it is. Like, Metroid itself is a very dark series. It just a lot of people don't realize that. Oh, Nintendo's kid friendly. No, it's not. Like, look at Ocarina of Time, like with Dead Hands, Shadow Temple, Redeads. A lot, the horror in the background. Like, there's a lot of things people don't realize this, and they just go off of assumptions. Like, I mentioned this to somebody in the past about like oh crap. What was this? What was she called? Ramina's Ranch in Majora's Mask. Because if you really think about it, um, she was giving that the cow drink is just alcohol. So she gave God, it's been a while. She gave her little sister alcohol so she wouldn't feel the pain of dying once the moon it hits Termina. That's very dark, very dark. Like, you have to look past like ratings. You have to dig really deep into stuff like this. All right, sorry, I just rambled on. These are the things I have to deal with at times. Um, let's continue here. The horror wasn't in the monsters. Here, the horror wasn't just in the monsters. She's a reflection of Samus, so it was in the mirror. We can capitalize on this. Samus wasn't just surviving the station. She was surviving herself. Bam! Perfect. Okay, let's reread this. The X didn't come back with a roar. It came back with silence. On a routine mission, Samus was infected silently, effectively. The X, the X slipped past her armor and into her flesh, rewriting her from within. By the time she collapsed, the damage was irreversible. Her nervous system, her power suit, her sense of self, all unraveling. What saved her wasn't surgery, it was the DNA of her greatest enemy. A Metroid vaccine, fused with her human biology, burned the X out from within. It was effective, but it changed her forever. No longer human, no longer just a warrior, Samus became a hybrid, a contradiction, a living weapon caught between what she was and what she had become, saved by the one enemy she sought to destroy. But something else was born that day. The suits removed during her operation, still infected with the X, gestated in isolation. From it emerged the SAS, a flawless copy of Samus at her peak, wearing her full power suit, wielding every ability she had lost. It was cold, calculating. Whoops. It was cold, calculating, a reflection without warmth. It didn't hesitate. It didn't question. It only hunted. On the VLCell research station, the parasites spread like wildfire. The halls filled with grotesque recreations of life, mutated fauna, twisted predators, and shadows of Samus's past. In shadows of Samus's past, the walls felt tighter, the lights dimmer, and somewhere, always just around the corner, the SAA stalked the corridors, her footsteps echoing like a heartbeat in the dark. Here, the horror wasn't just in the monsters; it was in the mirror. Samus wasn't just surviving the station; she was surviving herself. I like the way that sounds. Okay, this is probably gonna be a long video too. She was surviving herself. Okay, I've been doing this for like an hour and 30 minutes, so okay, I'm gonna take a little break. I'm gonna go take care of some stuff. I gotta finish packing because again, I'll be gone for a month. We'll come back a little bit later and we'll continue on with the script. So the script probably is gonna be done today. I'm just not gonna be releasing the video until I leave. Other than that, thank you whoever stopped by, and hopefully this video turns out good. All right, I'll see y'all.